I'll tell you this. Like I said, though, if you count 8 full seasons, 5 of those 8 seasons, Cam Newton didn't even quarterback a team to a 500 record. Now, of course, let's not put everything on the quarterback. There's lots of reasons why Carolina underachieved certain years. It's certainly not just Cam Newton. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's a fair conclusion? So I say this. I think Cam Newton is a very dangerous quarterback, certainly better than Stidham. At least I think so anyway. Maybe Diane Rossini doesn't, but I think so. Maybe we should pump the brakes still that, like I said, New England's getting the MVP Newton. We don't want to forget, this is a guy who got cut by Carolina months ago and sat unsigned, not for a couple days, not for a couple weeks. We're talking months, several months, man. No one made him an offer. So it's not like he was picking and choosing what his options were. But having said all that, is it fair, if you're playing devil's advocate here, to say that by waiting things out, Cam kind of put himself in what might be the perfect position? Because he is going to a team that wins every year, 20 straight AFC East division titles, greatest head coach in NFL history, a team that had no clear-cut starting quarterback. It feels like he put himself in the perfect position to succeed. If he's going to, it feels like it would be in New England.
No, I agree. This is absolutely like, hey, Cam, we want you to come in and prove it. And Cam wants to come in and prove it. And it's a great place to come in and prove it. I think for me, the conversation comes back to, why does that team win? You know, there's something about football teams and rosters. And like, we've seen super teams get built before, whether it was the Eagles or the Redskins, the amount of times that Dan Snyder has tried to do it. Obviously, the Dolphins have made a lot of moves this year. We've seen super teams try to get built, and I'm going somewhere with this, and they never seem to come through. And then there's always those teams where it's kind of riddled with guys that aren't really well known, whether it's the no-name defense or the Purple People Eaters or just teams like that, where it's like they've got a lot of decent players, but there's no like star power there, and those teams dominate people. You look at the Patriots. The Patriots have lived on that for whatever reason, and I say the reason is culture. And I know that culture is not a very fun word on certain radio stations in Buffalo, but culture is a very real thing. That defense, if you look at that, even that defensive roster isn't like stacked with players, but they play as a unit, they play as a team, and they play like together so well that they're very rarely out of position. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Everybody relies on each other and they hold each other accountable. The offense in that team for like the Patriots for so long, especially the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't been great. But Tom Brady has elevated every other player on that roster. Think of the years that they've started out slow, the years that the wide receivers were not running the right routes, the years that the blocking wasn't great. And Tom is like on the sideline losing his mind trying to get these guys to play right, to do what they're supposed to do. I just don't see Cam as that guy. Tom Brady, and I hate him, right? We're Bills fans. Like, he's gone from New England. I'm willing to admit that he's probably the best quarterback ever to play football. However, I hate the guy. But there's something about what he would do with the guys around him. Peyton Manning, same thing. Peyton Manning plays for the Indianapolis Colts, and they're 12-4, 13-3, 11-5. He gets hurt, doesn't play. What does that team do? 1-15, right?
Right.
Like, and then it's like certain players have. I don't know if you go by the history for Cam. He had continuity in his head coach. He had continuity in players around him. But even still, if you look at his history, he is not the guy that elevates the players around him. He's just not. So for me, I just, it's a wild card. We're going to see. We're going to find out. Is it Jarrett Stidham? Is it Cam? Is Cam healthy? Is he going to be dangerous? I just have no idea. And if there's somebody that knows him, thank God it's our head coach. Sean McDermott knows him, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that kind of leads into our next topic, which is the Buffalo Bills have enjoyed, or maybe they haven't enjoyed it. I have not enjoyed it. They're being picked by everyone in the world to win the AFC East. They've been the heavy favorites for the last couple of months. Well, guess what?
Yep.
Obviously, that's changed real quick here because now the national media is pandering the New England Patriots, particularly ESPN. I mean, it's really annoying. It kind of makes me sick in a way. So let's start there. And of course, look, this means zero come September or October, whenever the hell the games actually are going to start this year, if they do start.
Right.
That means nothing. Who we're talking about in June and July for winning the division, that means zero. We know that. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Bills. I don't like them in a favorite role. But anyway, how do you feel personally about all of a sudden New England, because the one player goes from possibly not even being better than Miami this year to, if you go by ESPN right now, overwhelming AFC East favorites with just one signing of a guy who we don't even know what we're going to get from him?
Yeah, I'm a Bills fan, so I don't even know that I can answer this question to make anybody believe me. But I mean, for me, Jarrett Stidham as their quarterback. This team, like the Patriots, are not the AFC East favorites.
No.
I don't know, and I don't know that adding Cam Newton, based on what we've seen and potential injury history, tells me that all of a sudden you insert Cam, and that they are now the AFC East favorites. Now, this I will say, I think it's a two-part question. For us as Bills fans, it's okay. Who are the AFC East Patriot or the AFC favorites? Is it the Patriots or is it the Bills? So that's the first question. The second question is, can we beat the Patriots? Because for me, regardless of who's playing quarterback, we clearly in the last 20 years have had a very difficult time beating that team. What are we, 4-34 in 20 years?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The majority of it obviously is Tom Brady. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback, whether it's Cam Newton, Tom Brady, Jarrett Stidham. And I think I made a joke the other day that if Bill Belichick was under center, we still have to beat the Patriots. And that's what it really comes down to, is can we finally push the bully back into the dirt, much like we did with the Dolphins in 1980 when the goalpost came down. Like at some point in time, we've got to stand up and say enough is enough already, and just beat them consistently and put them back into the place that they were in the 90s when we owned them, right? I mean, isn't that what we're all wanting to get back to? So for me, I don't think that inserting Cam into that roster makes them AFC East favorites. At this point, paper on paper, and obviously you have to play the games. That's why they play the games on any given Sunday. Paper on paper, this Bills roster is still stronger than every other team in this division, but that's just my opinion.